page, and they have their hand on the back of this dog, and all of a sudden the hair bristles up on his back, and his ears are up, and he's looking over like this. Now they know that something's coming around. They might be flanking him. And so then you fire star shells, see? And what it does, it explodes, and then it has a little parachute, and up, and lights up everything, and then they can do this. So, and that saves so many lives, and it was a wonderful thing. And of course they started using them, the Army, and of course you've seen this over in Iraq and what have you, sniffing out, those dogs are wonderful. They sniff out drugs and then bombs and all this kind of stuff. Let's see, where am I?
So when we called you, you said something about a typhoon.
Oh boy.
What was that like?
Oh, I got it on tape. I don't know what I can tell you. I gotta have a drink of coffee.
Okay.
Okay, we going again?
Yeah, you can start again.
Okay, well, let's see, where are we now? Oh, the storm. Storm. And that was something. And the Admiral, Halsey, was reprimanded for not going around this storm. I can't remember what his reasons for it or anything, but let me tell you, we lost more aircraft because those ships were going over 50, 60 degrees, and the airplanes are tied down, you know. But they would break loose and they were slamming into each other in the hangar decks. The ones that are up on top side are even worse because they're you know, and throwing them off the ship.
Wow.
See? It was just horrible. And it's down, and then like this, and then that water's coming clear over the 85-foot mast. There was 90 feet. It was scary. Of course, it's better than getting shot at, I guess. But anyway, the helmsman, I guess his normal watch was an hour or two or something like that. I had just come off watch on the radar gear because you couldn't really do anything because, anyway, so I go, the executive officer says, Willis, come in here and hang on to the wheel. And actually, it's not spokes, it is a wheel. It has brass on the outside of it. And now he says, we'll say like steer this course 180 degrees, try to keep it within 3 degrees of either side of your heading. I said, okay, sir. So then here we are, here comes this wave, and then down we go, and it comes up over, and when the bow comes up, it might be over here. Now it's way off course. And so I start to correct it. He says, hold it, kid. Don't move that wheel. And pretty soon, it came back into line. And then it's all repeated again. Down we go. And then you can't visualize what it's and the noise. Anyway, you can see we didn't get sunk because I'm here, but it tore up the shields around the 20-millimeter guns and just crumpled them up and tore up our whaleboat that is hanging, you know, inboard and well, anyway, we get out and I'll tell you, they had the little Jeep carriers that used to ferry more aircraft out, see, to replace the ones where either shot down or hurt. They had to replace, I think it was over 300 or 400 planes that were wrecked during that awful storm, see?
So, do you think you could tell us a little bit more about what that felt like, being on the ship in the typhoon?
Well, I tell you, I got in the same thing almost in the Atlantic coming back home from the Mediterranean, but this, it's hard to even think. You just know that you can't keep this up. Something's going to happen. Like maybe it won't come up, or maybe you're going to capsize. Now I got to tell you this. That brings to me mind. We lost 3 destroyers. All hands. There's nearly 900 guys.
Wow.
It's terrible.
It is.
And it's a shame, all these young people, you know. I'll just pause for a second.
Okay.
Well, anyway, that's right. We come out of that, and now where are we? And of course, you know, almost every day you got air attacks coming over, and if they can't give you the IFF, that's identification, friend or foe, why, you know it's a bogey.
Right.
That's with the air search radars. Okay, so now we're heading for the Battle of Leyte, and that was quite something. The Japanese really took a beating. The Japanese ships, Navy and what have you. We went in there and again did the bombarding and all that kind of stuff, and I think it was the Army and I don't know what all that landed there, and they got it secured so we could go in and anchor in the harbor. And so that night, they called it Washing Machine Charlie. I think they only had 1 bomber left, and he comes flying over. Well, everybody's got to go to GQ, general quarters, and that wakes everybody up. And you got to go to your guns, and he drops 1 bomb. Well, this night they shot him down. Well, everybody's hooting and saying, well, okay, we're going to give you something good to eat tomorrow because it's celebrate and all this kind of stuff. Now, another time, we got to go up to northern Luzon on the inside going up Lingayen Gulf. So now my destroyer was detached to the 5th Fleet. And so we're going up there, and there's an LSD, that's a landing ship dock. It's a dry dock that you can pull your Higgins or small craft in there, and then they flood it. I mean, it's flooded now, and then it's a dry dock, see, then they can work on it. Okay. These torpedo planes come in over the hill, and I don't know how this happened, but anyway, it happened, and the torpedo went through the one side of this LSD, and then skipped along, and then went through the other side and stuck out about 5 feet. See, it was about 20 feet long, those torpedoes. And anyway, here it is, and the propellers are going along, and it finally run down, and one of the sailors that does this stuff, he climbs over the side, and he's straddling this torpedo, was carrying about 600 pounds of TNT, and he takes out his screwdriver, and he screws this thing and brings this plate off of there, and then gently pulls out this gizmo that would fire it killed the, what is that?
The heater.
Oh, that kills that torpedo, which was kind of a hoot, you know. Well, anyway, in conjunction with that, they hit the aircraft carrier, a small aircraft carrier. It was either the Bellawood or the Princeton, and I think both of them got hit. But one of them, they finally had to abandon ship, take the take the guys off of it, and then they put a fish in it later, sunk it, and I think there was 147 guys, hit it in a fantail, and there was 100 and some guys got killed, and that was terrible. You know, they bury you at sea, and they put a shell in the bag there with you, and zip it up, and then tip you over, and all this kind of stuff. And that's kind of the bunk, you know, neat guys. Yeah. And so then we get up to where we're going, and they had the Gridley again do offshore sub-patrol. Now we're going between this point, San Bernardino Strait, over here on this part of the island, and over here, and we're going back and forth, back and forth. Boy, that's terrible. Because see, the war's kind of winding down here for us at that particular time. Well, they finally say, okay, Gridley, go back out to the fleet. That night, there was a submarine laying on the bottom out there all this time, because see, we couldn't get a a sonar couldn't pick him up because he wasn't operating. And they sunk it's like a Walmart out there. This ship was anchored there, see, and it sunk this Walmart. The name of the ship was the Prairie. Now, if you were an unruly sailor, they sent you to the Walmart, which was the Prairie, and you didn't get off of it, and it was terrible. This old ship been out there so long that they had to tow it wherever it was going, see? Well, it didn't sink completely, it just settled down, and it was still so they could get up and walk over. Everybody was hooting and hollering, we finally got off of that darn thing. Yeah. Okay, so now we're back out to the fleet, and let's see. I might have to pick up something later on that it comes to mind, but I think, see, we were damaged pretty good, as I told you, and they didn't want any more of these old ships. And the reason why we capsized is because this ship was built in '37. It was most of the top side was aluminum and riveted, almost like an airplane. And the hull was riveted. Now that's why they had us where you had to have real speed and hit the tough weather and everything, because the ship would flex. See, it would move. The newer models with twin mounts and all that, 2100s and 2250s, they were all welded together, see, and they were rigid, and they would break up. Gee whiz, the forward mounts up on the forecastle, they really got damaged, you know, and almost tore them off. And incidentally, during that typhoon, we did lose a little guy that washed overboard. You can't even look for him, see? It's just useless. Well, anyway, let's see. Okay, I think then they sent us back to Pearl Harbor, and we got Liberty. And there again, the guys on the subs and destroyers, they got what you call, you got to go over to the Pink Lady, which was, I can't think of this hotel over there that's been the Royal Hawaiian Hotel. Big guy, you know, been there forever, I guess. And I can't even remember where I stayed, but you know, I got to tell you, back when we got to, it wasn't so bad when we came back out of the Pacific, but when we got there from the States on the quarantine deal, you couldn't, you had to walk in the street. There was no cars. There was people, sailors, soldiers, Marines, everything. It was just a sea of people. Oh, I got to tell you this. I says, let's get a hamburger